yeah, 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 look, ball player, no watching from the side. Said that you got him next, well go ahead and show him why. No limits in the sky, go ahead and take your shot. This one is for the city, let's show him how we rock. Coaches used to call my phone, what you doing, just got home.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Up Next, the podcast where we tell you who's up next in youth sports. Once again, we're heavy on basketball. I'm Jamal Murphy, and I got my co-host extraordinaire Khalid Green in the house. What's going on?
Peace, everyone. Excited and honored to have. A lot of times we have special guests, but this is our first legend. So,
Right.
So we have the legendary, capital L, Leonard Hamilton, Coach Leonard Hamilton of Florida State tonight, man. We're excited.
Yeah.
I find those types of terminologies when you're associated with me to be a little strange. I've been a grinder all my life, kind of under the radar, just kind of sliding around here and there. We pop our heads up every once in a while, and we kind of go back in the hole. So hopefully now we'll start getting a little bit more respect. But I kind of like that underdog role. We like coming from out surprising people every year, but it's getting to the point now where people are not quite as surprised as they were earlier.
No.
It's hard to surprise people now when you keep winning consistently in the ACC. When you have 579 career wins. ACC champs last year before everything went downhill with the pandemic. But like Khalid said, we got Leonard Hamilton, the legend, with us, future Hall of Famer, originally from Gastonia, North Carolina. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And, when I was in Miami, I had a talk show that the year I set out between the Wizards and Florida State. I didn't want to be bored, so I started doing this talk show that's on the north side of town. And I got a healthy respect for what you guys do because I found myself studying everything that happened that night. And then I realized I had to get up early in the morning and study what happened on the West Coast that night. And then I had to drive almost an hour on the north side of town. And I said, this ain't what I expected. So then I have a healthy respect for what you guys do. And then I made the mistake of doing a radio show, a night radio show, one night a week up in Fort Lauderdale. So then it came on at 7, which means now to beat the traffic, you got to leave at 3 to go an hour and a half to get there. I said, man, I'm supposed to be on vacation. So listen, I got a healthy respect for what you guys do.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Look, peace to you, okay?
Peace. Yes, indeed.
Thank you. We always start the show off, when we're talking to, youth, young players in the game, young big time prospects. We always ask them, how they got started. But so with a legend like you, we definitely got to ask you how this all came about for you. When did you start playing basketball? When did you develop a love for it? When did you know you wanted to be a coach?
Well, in fact, I can remember my father saying, you have to get your education. My father went to the 9th grade. My mother went to the 7th grade. And it became obvious that they had a ceiling on what they could do. My father he never complained. He didn't have any racial issue. He just said, I want to be paid the same thing for doing the same job. And that was a challenge back in the 60s that I came along. Right. And he made it very clear that he was stuck in a certain position in life and couldn't get out of it because of lack of education. So as a 4th grader, he told me very clear, I have absolutely no money to contribute to you getting an education. So if you're going to get an academic scholarship or athletic scholarship, but you got to go get your degree. But obviously, nobody ever accused me of being the sharpest knife in the drawer. But anyway, so a non-basketball player, a guy who had 2 left feet, had a basketball rim on his swing set. And he had a little yellow basketball. And he was my neighbor, and I started playing with that ball. So from the 4th grade on, I'm trying to figure out how can I develop a way to get my education. And so I always had in my mind, I had to get my education. And so playing basketball and football was a vehicle by which I could get my education paid for. And I also had 3 brothers and a sister. So I had to set the table for them. So as I went through, and I was going to join the Army so that Uncle Sam could pay for my education. Right. But as God would have it, a week before I got ready to join the Army, they started a basketball program at the local community college in my hometown. Now I had more football scholarship offers than I had basketball scholarship offers. But I always tell people that, you know, I never lived more than 50 yards from the church I grew up in. And I always felt that I had that hedge of protection around me. Whenever I tried to do something that wasn't correct, it always seemed like God would kind of urge me back in the direction He wanted me to be in. And I should have gone to play I should have gone and taken the football scholarship, but I came down with a rash and could not go. So that was a blessing, because I shouldn't have been playing football in the first place. Okay, but every time that church door opened, we were in it. And I always tell people that whenever I try to do something wrong, so I tried to go to the Army during the Vietnam War, where I had this hedge of protection around me. He said, no, we're going to start as a basketball team 4 miles from you, and that's where we want you to go. So I go to Gaston Community College, and my coach happened to put me in the car and take me around to all kind of colleges, and I felt the need to get away from where I lived, because it was not a very pleasant place to grow up in. So I go to University of Tennessee at Martin, not knowing that I'm the first Black player to go there. Wow. I don't know that. You know, all I know is I want to get my education. I hadn't done all my research, scholarship, education. I'm in. I ended up going there being the first Black basketball player, and I never forget this. My coach had a problem, had some issues. He was from old school, and I called my mother one night and said, "Mom, I'm not real sure I can go to school here," because she said, "Why?" I said, "My coach might be, you know, not. I'm not saying he's prejudiced, but I'm not real sure that he's not." My mother said, she said, "Where are you going?"
Right.
I mean, where were you going where you're not going to deal with some issues?
Right.
And that resonated with me. I stayed there, got my degree. And the interesting thing, though, when I got my degree, though, I adopted my brother Willie. He was 17. He goes to college. He graduated from college. He has a lady who he went to college with, and they have 2 kids, and they go to college. I adopted my brother Barry, and when Willie left, he goes to college. My brother John, he went to college because I went to college. His son goes to college. I adopted my sister Pam, they go to college. So going and getting your education changed the whole culture of your family. So for me personally, that was how I got started in life, trying to set the table. And I realized that all these youngsters behind me were looking for me for the example to set. So I had to be successful. But during that journey, you know, whenever I tried to mess up. Now, I was going to join the Marines out of UT Martin, because, you know, obviously during the days you had, you know, you got your number called up, and my number had been called, and so it was over. But what happened was instead of going to the Marines, an assistant coach, a graduate assistant position became open at Austin Peay State University, about 70 miles from my school. So instead of going to the Marines, I'm going to Austin Peay. Come on, man. You know, Marines, war, college, graduate school.
Right.
Once again, that's that hedge of protection guiding me in direction, because God had something else planned for me.
Right. So
I go to Austin Peay for 3 years, and once again, I get crazy. I lose, you know, I always say that one thing you got to have is emotional intelligence, but I lost it. My head coach, we went to 2 NCAA tournaments, won the conference 2 years in a row with the kids I was able to recruit. And let me back up a minute. I'm a few months removed from playing college basketball. And in January, the full-time assistant coach became ill and had to resign. So I go from playing to being the only coach the head coach got. So all the responsibilities of a full-time coach I got when I'm married with a kid, adopted a brother, 1 year removed from playing basketball. So I'm thrown right into the fire where I had to learn. So the head coach is on his end coaching. I'm on the other end of the court teaching. And I'm not knowing that I'm not supposed to be in this position, but I was put in that position for a reason. Right, so after 3 years, You know, everybody know the story. I come to New York, first time I went to New York in my life, first kid I met was Fly Williams and Danny Odom. Danny Odom came and Fly came. Fly led the nation in scoring. Danny Odom broke the conference assist record as a freshman. Now, you know I didn't know what I was doing. That was my first recruiting trip ever while I was a graduate assistant working on a master's degree. Now, that's not me. That's somebody having a hedge of protection on me. That's that hand on my life.
Right.
So I go from playing to recruiting, the leading scorer in the country, broke a conference record. And so now, you know, we go to the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row, so everybody I'm thinking I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Right. I'm 26 years old, and my head coach is getting offers for jobs. So whatever confidence the man upstairs gave me, I walk into the president's office, and I say to him, if my guy gets the head job, am I going to be the next head coach at Austin Peay? Now, I'm 26 years old, and I didn't think to look around the country to see there wasn't a whole lot of guys who looked like me in 1964 that were head coaches. That didn't dawn on me. But my level of confidence and my belief in my ability to get the job done was at almost a crazy level. And when I went to the president, it became obvious to me that I was not going to get the head coach job at that time because of the sign of the sign of the times. Mm-hmm. You know, that this was not going to happen with me, and I became very discouraged. That happened to me on a Wednesday. I resigned on Thursday. Mm. And I moved out of my house on Friday, took a job with Dow Chemical on Monday in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mm. And I had intended to be, if I couldn't be a head coach because I was African-American, I wanted to be the #1 chemical salesman in the country. Now here again, I lost my emotional intelligence. I became emotional, I made a rash decision that wasn't well thought out. Right. But as fate would have it, at 12 o'clock the next day, they told me to go find me an apartment. John C. Smith had offered me the head job. I wasn't wanting to take the job, and I was on John C. Smith's campus, and I called the hotel, and my wife said, Joe Hall called you from Kentucky. Mm. And I called him back, and he said to me, would you be interested in talking to me about assistant position on my staff? Now, needless to say, the reason Joe Hall knew me, because Austin Peay had lost to Kentucky in a triple overtime game, 103-106 in the NCAA tournament that year with the kids that I was able to bring in there. So he knew of my work. So he asked me, and Khalid, this is interesting because he said, I'm going to be out of town on Tuesday. I won't be back until late Tuesday afternoon. Can you come see me on Wednesday? So I said, Coach, can I call you back? I hung the phone, made my own plans reservation, and I called him back and said, Coach, I'll be in there on Tuesday when you come back. and so he came back and we visited. And for about 4 o'clock, I said, Coach Hall, you have anything else you want to talk to me about? He says, no. And I said, Coach, I'm going to tell you 4 things. I'll be loyal to you. I won't nobody outwork me. I won't ever get you in trouble. And I'll make sure you got plenty of players. Mm. If you're not going to offer me this job, I'm going to go back to Charlotte, if you don't mind. I want to be the #1 chemical salesman in the country. Now, here I go from being emotional at Austin Peay, resigning my job, going to work on Monday, and in Lexington, Kentucky, interviewing for a job on Tuesday. That's not me. I can't. I'm not that good. That's my steps being ordered. Right. And so I go from not having a job on Thursday. I go from Austin Peay to the #1 winningest program in the history of college basketball on the next week. But that's how my life has been. So it's quite obvious that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I always think all of our steps are ordered. Right. And the way you know that you're fulfilling God's purpose for you, and we all have a purpose, there's a piece of understanding that comes over you where you feel good about what you do every day. Right. And I feel good about what I do every day. So I go from not having a job, selling chemicals, to Kentucky, and I was there for 12 years. And then I got the head job. So my point of view, I've always felt my steps have always been ordered. And so when you ask me about my journey, what I'm saying to you, I think we all have a purpose in life. Now it's up to us to find out what that purpose is.
Right.
And when you're fulfilling that purpose, when you feel good about what you do. And that's where my life has been. So when you asked me that question, I know you didn't expect you to get that story, but I believe in being thorough, you know?
Absolutely.
No, great story. And, people need to hear that for sure.
Yeah. Well, but that's where my life has been. And I enjoy what I do. I work with youngsters and try to take them from teenagers to young adulthood. And you guys evaluate us, you guys in the media. Okay, y'all media people now, okay?
Right.
But the point of it is you evaluate coaches in terms of how many times they go to the NCAA tournament, how many championships, how many Coach of the Year awards they get, where you're ranked, and how many kids you put in the NBA. But you understand that everybody on your team is not going to the NBA. And 95% of all your kids are going to be husbands, fathers, citizens, and neighbors. And so at Florida State, we've only had 2 kids now graduate in 18 years. Mm. Now, when you evaluate us at the end of our coaching career, you're going to evaluate us by how many guys went to the NBA. You're going to have how many guys graduated, got their degrees, and they have good lives as a result of being a part of your program. To me, that's far greater than anything you do on the basketball court when you're helping young people move and mature into life where they have a better way of life. And that's what we place all our emphasis on. Along the way, we hope that we win enough games. We hope that we can go to the NCAA tournament, and those guys who have the ability to improve and put themselves in a position to have a chance to get in draft and realize their dreams, we create that atmosphere for that to happen. But our philosophy is there's a lot of good players in the United States and around the world. But what allows them to reach their potential is their minds and their spirits. So we spend more time coaching their minds and their spirits than we do their bodies. If their minds are right and their spirits are right and they conduct themselves properly, then they allow their physical attributes will develop. And some of them go to the NBA, some of them go to Europe and play. But the most important thing, they leave with their degrees. And when that ball starts bouncing, I came out to practice the other day and took all the air out of the ball and threw it down on the floor and didn't bounce. And I made it very clear to them. That's the way life is, and ball's gonna start bouncing at some point. So if you got those papers, I realized how much it meant to me and my family, because I changed the whole culture of my family as a result of me going to school and getting my degree. I owe that to them and their parents to make sure that I don't lose sight on what's really, really important. And that's my story, fellas. Mm.
Well, you mentioned the recruiting piece, and you're kind of an underrated recruiter. I mean, you get big time guys also, but I'm wondering, based on what you just said, is there a type of kid that you recruit? Because you don't have like the normal like blue blood system. You always have big time team efforts. Play 10 to 12 guys. Some
defense.
Guys defense 15, 20 minutes, and then the same thing. What you're saying off the court, like teaching kids off the court. So, is there a particular type of kid that you look to recruit, or is it just we mold them once we get them?
Well, my odyssey has been taking over programs that were not very good before we got there. I mean, with potential, and maybe it had been a little inconsistent over the years. And sometimes you take over programs, you have to implement a system that allows you to be successful with what you got. But now we're in a position where we have a system that we believe in. Offensively, we try to score in the first 6 seconds. We don't have it. We're gonna make passes. We're gonna move the ball. We're gonna move the bodies. We're gonna share the ball. We're gonna share playing time. And we want to recruit players whose skills fit our system. Sometimes, you know, they're great players and everybody want to recruit great players, but sometimes, even though a guy's a great player, he has to fit the way we want to play. You know, they call us big guard you. Well, you know, we like long range because we switch 1 through 5. You know, it's kind of hard for a 5'6" guy, 5'7" guy, 5'10" guy to be dead front of the post. So we normally have big guards and our perimeter guys, our forwards that are classified in some, categorized in some group, we need for them to be skilled. The only real position on our floor, on our team, is our postman. Everybody else is interchangeable. So we want interchangeable, positionless players that fit who we are. So a guy who's versatile, he flourishes in our program, and he has a chance to display his dribbling, passing, shooting, and more than anything else, his decision-making skills because of the way we play in our system. And so that's why a guy like Patrick Williams, who's 6'8", and maybe could be a power forward, maybe could be a 3 man, where he's playing 1, 2, 3, and 4 for me because he's just playing. I can get a rebound and run the offense. I can fill the lanes and catch in transition. I can come off ball screens going left and right. You know, I move the ball, you know, so I can tack closeouts. And so a guy with skills has an opportunity to display that. Whereas one-dimensional guys who maybe are great shooters who don't dribble, who can't create for somebody, maybe might have a problem in our system. We create for each other. We win games by committee. We call ourselves 18 strong. And our kids play with that spirit in their mind. And so it's a lot easier for the guys to flourish when a coach is not asking you to do something that's out of your skill set. You know, like for instance, sometimes you can get a big powered athletic shot blocking power forward who, you know, in the old school days, those guys were valuable with the way the game was played. We don't play that way. And so, you know, we switch, we play a fast pace, and we don't read scouting reports. You know, I don't worry about where kids are ranked. You know, it doesn't bother with me that Devin Vassell's wasn't ranked. And when we recruited him, he fit what we thought we needed. I mean, 6'7", long arms. But I mean, you know, I don't know what position Pat Williams was. I just know he had skills and the body and the mindset to fit who we are and what we try to do. And that's what we are trying to do consistently. You know, we have 2 kids this year, lottery picks. We're going to have 2 or 3 kids next year, same way. And there are kids that you probably don't know their names right now. Maybe
That's
one.
Right. That's right.
Not all of them.
Right.
Right. Coach, talk about, I think an underwritten part of your legacy is your rebuilding programs. And what people don't understand on the East Coast is that Florida State, Miami, those are known to be football programs, and you turned them around, and now, like, basketball people are aware that those are now basketball programs, and a lot of that is due to, you know, what you've done. Talk about, like, building a culture of a winning culture and insinuating basketball, putting basketball into the program.
Well, I think having an opportunity to be at Austin P, put in a situation where I had to learn how to teach and develop and communicate. In other words, I am teaching and developing players at Austin P that were older than me. In other words, there were kids on the team that were older than I was. So I had to develop a system of how to be positive, how to be encouraging, how to be and not be condescending, where guys could believe and trust in me. Going to Kentucky, having a chance to be a part of the winners program, so I see how he do it at the highest level, the academics, the travel, the basketball camps, the recruiting at the high level, the game preparation, or how it was against Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, North Carolina, you know, and all the SEC people. You were part of that learning experience for me as a young coach. So going to Oklahoma State, you know, was a challenge for me, but I thought I was prepared. I understood what it was like totally, the being in the fishbowl existence, having to work hard, grind, and grow and develop, because in order to maintain the same level of consistency in Kentucky, that was hard work. So that worked out pretty good. And what happened was I took what I learned in those other places. Secondly, I also took the value of getting the education that meant so much to me with my family. I was the same thing we was doing in Kentucky, and it fathered me. So you know, I feel that I grew along the way in the stops that I made. I gained wisdom from those experiences.
That's interesting also because you've been around the game a long time. The game has changed, but it seems like you have no problem changing yourself. Like you just said, the offense, we try to score in the first 6 seconds. I assume that wasn't always your philosophy. How have you changed with the game?
Well, I you know, Khalid, you might not know, but you might have been evaluating me with one of the NBA teams back in the day. You know, in my world, at my level, I was a pretty good player. Mm-hmm. But I had an unselfish spirit. It never bothered me in pickup games. All I wanted to do was win, defend and win. And that was my persona. You know, even though I still hold the scoring record in North Carolina, 54 points in one game. I just want to throw that in.
Okay. Shout out to that.
but what I'm saying is, but I really enjoyed being the card dealer. I remember coming home one summer from college, and I was there for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I had a chance to coach a little league team of 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And I had that running philosophy, and I actually was scoring 80 and 90 points with 4th and 5th graders because we were pushing that thing. So I've always wanted to do that. But sometimes when you go into college situations, asking kids to be something that they're not, it can end up have an adverse adjustment for you. So as time has gone on, I've moved closer to playing the way I enjoy playing. I enjoy coaching, but it just so happens that that's the way the game's moving. And you know, someone was criticizing me, saying, "How in the world can you have 2 kids on your team that are drafted in the first round in back-to-back years, and neither one of them ever start a game? What are you thinking about? How can you have 2 pros not starting?" And so, I mean, I kind of felt that they was taking an undercut shot. And maybe I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, when Red Auerbach won 9 straight NBA titles, he had John Havlicek coming off the bench, Zach Sanders coming off the bench. He had 4 Hall of Famers coming off the bench. Y'all called him a genius.
Right.
I said, so now I got my kids coming off the bench and y'all questioning my judgment. Something wrong with that picture.
Right.
You know, and take for instance, the Clippers this year, they had 2 guys coming off the bench averaging 17 points a game.
Absolutely.
So I figured out that I got to have a rotation. And I don't necessarily have to have all great players. I just need to have all players that are good. And so we all playing at a high level and a high clip. But the play that is the way I want to play, it's hard to sustain that level of effort for long periods of time without trying to find a place to rest. Well, if I'm going to compete against the blue bloods in my league, I can't do a lot of resting, you know. And so I'm not going to have maybe the top 5 players in the ACC. I'm okay with that. But I'm going to have 10 or 11 that are pretty good. Right. And that's where we're going to play.
Right.
We 18 strong, win by committee, share the ball, share playing time. Now, if you come into our system, you look at our track record, we had, you know, I think we have 16 kids drafted in 18 years.
Wow.
And then with only 2 kids not graduating. And I think we've done okay. So my point to you is that our system, you can no longer take shots at us saying, you're not going to get 25 shots a game. You're not going to get 35 minutes. You come here. Kids are saying, you got to make a decision. They can't cut us. So, and I'm not doing that for recruitment. I just believe that's the way we have to play in order for us to be successful. Our kids enjoy that. They enjoy playing to exhaustion. They enjoy, I create for you, you create for me.
Right.
And I create a high percentage shot for you, you create a high percentage shot for me. So we become a little more challenging when last year's team, we had 9 different players, leaders in scoring. Now you go find that on the team. 9 different players on our team led us in scoring last year.
That's a hard team to scout.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so, but my point, if I'm going to be just like everybody else in my league, come on, man. We all dress alike. Sometimes it can be boring. I want to be different. You know?
Right.
And I need to be. If I play just the way everybody else playing, walking the ball down the court, you know, playing my top 7, you know, the superstars, the McDonald All-Americans, they get their 35 minutes. You know, I'm not going to be loaded. I'm not going to have 5 McDonald All-Americans on my team. You know, but my Burger Kings do just fine.
That's right. That's right. And especially when you got 2 lottery picks. You know, I mean, people can't hold that against you in recruiting because, you know, regardless, they play 15, 20 minutes a game and then they still get drafted in the lottery. If you end up being that good, people still see you. You still get drafted. What more could you want?
But you know, I don't really try to coach to get kids drafted.
Mm-hmm.
We try to coach to get kids to reach their fullest potential.
Mm-hmm.
And our philosophy is, if you can condition yourself where you don't take any possessions off. But see, in life, life is just like basketball. No one wants to be uncomfortable. Nobody want to be tired.
Right.
Nobody want to be hot, cold. You don't want to be thirsty. You don't want to be hungry. You know, you don't want to be tired. You want to be fresh. You want to feel good. But in order for you in coaching, if you always comfortable, then how you gonna tap into that extra level to be the best you can be? Right. So I have to condition you to give me your best effort all the time. Now, we have 3 individuals on this call. We all have a predisposed, God-given potential. He didn't give me the same potential he gave you, and vice versa. My job is for you not to worry about being as good as me, because I was a bad boy. That's what you know. Anyway,
shout out to that scoring record again. But go ahead, Coach.
What I'm saying is, if I compare myself to you, God might have gave you a little more than he gave me. I got to be the best I can be. And so we try to condition our guys not to worry about anything but that which you can control. What you can control is your mindset every day. And if you come to practice every day with that purpose, if you practice that way, you play that way, and you reach your potential. Now, you have to get out of your comfort zone in order for you to test your limit. If you stay comfortable, you never test your limit. So our job is to consistently get them to understand. Now, that's easier said than done. You know, and our system holds everybody accountable for every possession. We will grade you on every defensive possession you're on the court. I'll come to you and I'll say, Glid, you had 15 times to close out. You only correct 3 of them. You didn't close out with your hands up. You didn't chop your feet. You had 8 times to mirror the ball. You didn't mirror the ball. You had X number of times to block out. You didn't block out. So after every practice and every game, we grading you as to how many times you got what you're supposed to be doing correctly, individually, not what your buddy did, what you did.
Right.
You know. So did you fight screens? Did you sink? Did you front the post? Did you close out correctly? Did you contest shots? Did you block out? Did you shrink the gaps? Was your hand on the line between your man and your ball? Those things make the difference. So I'm holding everybody accountable. And if you're supposed to be fast breaking, you're supposed to be getting to your checkpoint, but because the ball's on the right side of the floor, you taking a break and you jogging on the left side of the court, that means you're tired. you know, because everybody got to be given the same effort all the time, you know. So when you condition your kids that way, then obviously, you know, they find a way to be who they are, you know. So that's kind of the way we approach it. You know, we don't have to scream and holler and fuss at you. You know, the films don't lie. We hold everybody accountable, and we treat everybody the same, and everybody enjoys that. So, I mean, the way we play, it's fun.
Yeah.
Practice is fun. And,
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I don't. You know, I try not to. You know, I'm not that old. I'm not old school. You know, I don't coach by intimidation. You know, if you can beat a mule, you can't get them to do anything. Right. If I gotta scream and holler at you to get you to reach your potential, then what you gonna do when I'm not around?
Right.
And if I have to motivate you by breaking you down to build you up, if I gotta motivate you by how loud my voice is, and that is what you're accustomed to, then that's where you're gonna treat your kids, your family, your girlfriend, your wife. You know, the more upset I get, the lower my voice gets. But I don't adhere to that. So the kids who play for us, I think we have great relationships, and I think that's one of the reasons why we are having a little bit of success.
It sounds like in your program, obviously strength and conditioning has a lot to do with your success. Like what do you guys do off the court to get your guys in shape and to the condition standards that you want met in the program?
Well, we our conditioning is I'm trying to get back on here, fellas. I don't know what happened to I got knocked off here.
We see you and hear you.
We see you.
Okay, good. Yeah. What's going on here? Anyway, I can't, don't worry about it. But anyway, my weight training conditioning coach has been with me for 23 years. And we have individual weight training conditioning. We lift weights year round. You know, we don't believe in power lifting. We believe in high intensity weight training and conditioning. So we don't. You guys still see me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And hear you. Yep.
We don't. You know, we don't do the power cleaning stuff. We don't do the. Olympic weight training. You know, we believe in. We believe in high intensity weight training condition. We believe in. I don't do a lot of running after practice because I want all my running in practice. I want all my sprint with the ball. We don't do any weights that put a lot of pressure on your knees and your back. We condition in the sand. We start at 6:30 in the morning in the sand pits in the off-season conditioning, where we do our slides, our runs, our hops, and with low impact stuff. And then we try to get our conditioning during practice. And I do some running at the end of the practice, but my pace is enough so that we don't have problems with conditioning. And I don't have a problem, burning your knees up and your back up by doing squats and cleans like some people do.
Right.
We have machines that keep everybody's body in balance, so you're not putting that pressure on your back and your knees.
Right.
Works for me.
Right.
So how you guys looking this year? What are your expectations for this year? Obviously the pandemic, everything is, we don't know exactly how it's going to play out.
Well,
so what are your expectations?
On paper, we just lost 4 guys. Mm-hmm. Trent Forrest, the all-time leading winner in the history of our program. With Trent Forrest being our point guard, we won 9 straight overtime games.
Wow.
With him being our point guard, you've been around basketball. Have you ever known anybody win 9 straight?
Nah,
We lost We lost 3 games at home in 4 years. We like 39-8 or something in 2 possession games over the last 4 years. But we've lost Beasley, Bacon, Isaac, Mann, Fiondu Kamigele, Jonathan Isaac, and every year we're supposed to be in rebuilding. And I think each year we've gotten better. We lost 4 guys this year, 2 lottery picks, Trent Forrest and Dominique, who's in Europe, averaging close to a double-double. We're supposed to be in a rebuilding year. But I think that my returning players have all improved. I like this team. It's hard to replace lottery picks and not miss a beat at Florida State. So stay tuned. Let's see what happens.
Let me just say, I see the preseason rankings all the time, and so this, like, I think a couple of days ago, I was looking at the preseason rankings, and I see somebody had you like 21 or 19 or something like that, and I'm like, oh, you can count. There'll be 10 spots better than that. Every year, you could just guarantee they're gonna be about 10 spots better than what people say.
Don't sleep on those no's, okay? But I have to admit, we're behind like most teams. Mm-hmm. We haven't had very much practice. There's a lot going on, so we'll. Fellas, I'm gonna have to take off.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got some business I got to take care of here in the office. So
thank you, Coach.
I've enjoyed being with you guys, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Listen, man, don't you guys show me a little more love. Now, don't keep me in the dark down in Tallahassee.
No doubt.
Anytime you guys want me on, just call my girl, okay?
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.